Hello and welcome to this session. In this session, sociolinguistics and psycholinguistics. So today, from this session, we'll be talking about languages, dialects, and varieties from sociolinguistics. And you can see I have shared a chapter from the book called An Introduction to Sociolinguistics by Ronald Water. I hope you can see the screen, right?
Right, sir.
Okay, that's great.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, here in this chapter, actually, he tried to talk about the languages, dialects, and varieties, especially he emphasized on the varieties in the very first few pages. And then also he'll be talking about dialects and also the relationship between languages and dialects. And also he will be talking about the different kinds of varieties. So you'll find it interesting, trust me, because sometimes even in our language, we also face this kind of problems that whether we will call a language a variety or whether it's a kind of dialect. So we also get confused. And there are lots of debates about these, fixing the definitions of varieties and also dialects. We can start by giving a very from a very personal experience. We can start giving some examples from there. For example, if I ask you the questions that the Sylheti language, shall we call it a variety of Bengali language, or shall we call it a dialect? So what is your opinion about it? The language from, the way the people from the Sylhet, they use the Bangla language. So shall we call it a variety or shall we call it a dialect? So what is your understanding of it?
It's a dialect.
Dialect, sir.
Okay. So why are you saying that it's a dialect? Why are you saying that?
This is the variety of languages. They use some their own words.
Okay. So yeah, go on. You're trying to.
Then that is depend on their place.
Okay. So shall we call it a dialect or variety?
Both.
Sir, I would like to language.
You'd like to say what?
Sir, variety of language.
Shamin, right? Shamin, you said that, right? That you want to say that that's a variety of language, the Sylheti language,
Yes,
right? Okay. So Shamin, what is your logic behind it? I mean, you
Yes,
can
sir.
say you can say that, no problem. But I'm just asking that what is your logic behind it? That you are saying that that's a variety, not a dialect.
Sir, it is they use many mixing language. They use most of the people of Sylhet. They go to foreign country and they sometimes use English and with many others language.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
why I say it.
You call it variety. All right. We will explore the definition of variety later on, but you said that's a variety. Okay, no problem. You have that liberty, you can say that. But Fahim, you said that that's a dialect. So, I mean, what's the reason behind it that you said that it's a dialect? What is your reason?
Like because they have their own, they use their own language, but that is Bangla. I think dialect and variation both.
Variety.
Because
Variety.
yes, sir.
Yes.
Dialects and variety, that is both. Variety because Bangla language variety. Bangla languages have so many, Rangpurian, Sylhetian, Chittagong. That is also called Bangla language, but dialects because they use some their own words uh, that is different.
Okay. All right. Now, so far actually we have got two different kinds of definitions. Now we will try to check that whether our understanding of variety and dialect, whether actually it goes with the sociolinguistics it comply with the sociolinguistics definition given by the sociolinguists. Now let's check. Now here you see, it says that, I hope that you can see that. Look here, Hudson actually he wrote another book on sociolinguistics, and the name of his book is Sociolinguistics, just Sociolinguistics, and it's written by R.A. Hudson. So Hudson, in his book, he's saying that what is the definition of the variety of language. Now he said that, I hope you can see that on the text. Let me mark it for you, highlight. I will highlight it for you. It's an italic form. You see a set of, can you see that? I blocked it. Is it possible to see that?
Yes, sir.
Now you can see that right now. Okay, now here it says that a variety of language as a set of linguistic items with similar distribution. A set of linguistic items with similar distribution. So linguistic items, that means different kinds of syntax and other items that will be there, and they will be distributed equally. A definition that allows us to say that all of the following are varieties. So you see, similar distribution, similar kind of linguistic items will be there, and linguistic items will be distributed in the language in the same way. For example, Canadian English, London English, the English of football commentaries, and different others. So you see, Canadian English, London English, or American English, you see, they are English, we understand them, but they have the linguistic items are all is there in the same, equally distributed. Like when you listen to the Canadian English and American English, you can understand it, and both of them, and even Australian English, you see, it's very close to London English. So, and you can understand them because of a little bit of change of pronunciation, and also some colloquial expression, collocation, and idiomatic expression, and also there are some changes in the use of words, especially the vocabulary are different. Okay, for example, some will say it's a truck, but the same truck will be called by someone else, they will call it a lorry, L-O-R-R-Y. So the same thing, just the change of vocabulary. So this kind of situation, we call them that they are variety of language. Now, according to Hudson, he says that the definition also allows us to treat all the languages of some multilingual speaker or community as a single variety, since all the linguistic items concerned have a similar social distribution. That means in the Canadian society, you will find that all the Canadian people, they speak the same language, that is Canadian English, which is different from London English, or which is different from American English. Do you get the point what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Are you confused?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. I will make it simple for you. Look, listen to the Hudson's definition again, a set of linguistic items with similar distribution. Now, in Canada, if you go there, their English is same all over the Canada. Got the point now?
Yes, sir.
If you go to London, you'll find that all the Londoners, the people in the staying in London, I'm talking about the native speakers. I'm not talking about Bangladeshi or Pakistani or Sri Lankan or Indian speakers, those who are staying there. So I'm talking about the original native speakers, original Londoners. You'll find that Londoners or people living in the London, they are speaking the same English. And that English is different from the American English. So that is London English. And similarly, you can see that in Canada, all the Canadians speak the same English, and it sounds different from Australian English, it sounds different from British English, and it sounds different from American English. But all the people living in Canada, almost all of them, they're speaking the same language, and that is Canadian English. That's why Hudson says that this definition also allows us to treat all the languages of some multilingual speaker or community as a single variety, since all the linguistic items concerned have a similar social distribution. Social distribution. You see the social distribution. That means Canadian society will use the same English. So that is Canadian English. Got it now?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Clear? Okay, fantastic. Now that is variety. Okay, that is variety. Now a variety can therefore be something greater than a single language as well as something less. or less even than something traditionally referred to as a dialect. So it can be less than a dialect sometimes, but in most cases, you can find that specific variety that is sometimes regarded as more important than the particular language. For example, if I ask you the question, just think about it and try to find out your own answer. If I ask you, what do you think? Which language variety out of these four, Canadian and then London English, Canadian English, London English, or British English, and the American English, which one is better?
So American English.
So to you, American English, you think that American English, that variety is better than other three?
Others.
I mean, that is the best.
Sir,
Okay.
also British English.
Okay. Is it Prema or Shubhasri? Who said that?
So no one. It's Charmin.
British English.
Okay, Shamin. So Shamin, for you, British English, that is, I mean, it's in a better position if you compare it with the other three, right? Is that right? You prefer British English, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Sir.
So one of you prefer American English, and one of you prefer British English. There is
Yes, sir.
there is no problem with that. For example, for me, British English is better than the other three varieties. I mean, it's better than Canadian English. Also, is better than American English. Is better than Australian English. So you see, I'm considering, so a variety can therefore be something greater than a single language. So a particular variety, that is British English or London English, I think that London English is better than even the English language itself. So that is better than the language itself. So that is the best. London English is the best. That's the best in English in all among all the varieties. So you see, that is why it's saying that according to Harson, this definition allows us to treat all the languages of some multilingual speaker community as a single variety. So we will consider all the speakers of the same community as a single variety. Okay. For example, if I take the example of Bangla, actually we don't have such kind of situation. It's unfortunate, and maybe we have, but we never try to do some research on it. Like Bangla in Dhaka. And what do you think? Bangla in which part of Dhaka that we can take it as a standard?
New Dhaka. That means.
Okay, got it. You don't have to explain it. I think all of us, we know about it, that old Dhaka and new Dhaka. So you think that new Dhaka, that is the, or new Dhaka Bangla. So we'll call it, like Canadian English, we'll call it new Dhaka English. Okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So this new Dhaka English, or English from the new Dhaka, so we will call it, that is the best variety. And on the other hand, the rest of the country, maybe they have a different variety of Bangla. So now we'll try to understand what is dialect later on, but first try to understand. Now, can we call the Noakhali Bangla or the Chittagonian Bangla, can we call it a variety or it's a dialect?
Dialect.
You see, now you're understanding, it has become clear that because that is not a separate, variety or separate language, just like
Yes, sir.
the Canadian English or London English. That is also Bangla, but it's a group of people, they speak the same language, but in a different way. So that it has become a dialect because of some kind of mannerisms, some kind of tone, accent, attenuation, the way actually they pronounce it, right? And also the vocabulary. So it has become a dialect, it is not a variety of Bangla. So variety is actually, it's more uniformed and it's larger than dialect. Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. A variety can therefore be something greater than a single language as well as something less even than something traditionally referred to as a dialect. Sometimes it may be, maybe a variety can be considered as a less than a dialect. It may happen. And for example, Ferguson in his book offers another definition of variety. Now we have come across the definition of variety given by Harson. Now we will be discussing the variety, the definition given by Ferguson. So Ferguson defines any body of human speech. Okay, I will highlight it for you again so that when I highlight, can you see that? Is
Yes,
it
sir.
visible on the screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. then it's good. Because I just want to facilitate you so that you can understand
Yes, sir.
it easily. So what's the color now? What's the color of that text now? Tell me.
Yellow.
Yellow.
Oh, thank you. I thought you were color blind, but you can see the color. Good, good. So you see, any body of human speech patterns which is sufficiently homogeneous to be analyzed by available techniques of synchronic description, and which has a sufficiently large repertoire of elements, and their arrangements are processed with broad enough semantic scope of function in all formal contexts of communication. You see, his definition is, is very much inclusive. It's just like an umbrella term, and at the same time, it's very complicated, complex, right? So now we will take it bit by bit, and then we'll try to analyze it. So we can grab the main concepts out of it. Any body of human speech patterns which is sufficiently homogeneous. Now we'll stop here. Sufficiently homogeneous. Homogeneous means they're uniformed, same exactly. For example, Canadian English, all the Canadian people, they speak the same, right? That is same, homogeneous. So that is homogeneous, right? Shodrishyarup, একই রকম in Bengali, and sufficiently. Even if it is not completely, they are not saying that it is completely homogeneous. Because if you go to Canada, if you go to Vancouver, then people living in the Vancouver, they have a different kind of English, a little bit of changes with a change accent. And if you go to Quebec, and you see in Quebec, mostly people, they speak French, but also they speak English. So you'll see their English is a little bit of influenced by French language. Do you get my point, what I'm saying? You know, in Canada, they have two official languages. One is French and another one is English. So in Vancouver, mostly, and also in different other parts, mostly people speak English. Also, they can speak French. But there are some provinces, some states, mostly people speak French. And also they can speak English. So you can feel the influence of French language in English, and also you can feel the influence of English in their French language. So we are not saying completely homogeneous, we are saying sufficiently homogeneous. মোটামুটি রকমের সদৃশ্য, কারণ কিছুটা হলেও পার্থক্য থাকতে পারে অ্যাকসেন্টের কারণে, কারণ এক একটা স্টেটের লোকের কমিউনিটি একরকম, তাহলে ওদের ভাষাটা একটু ডিফারেন্ট হবে না, স্বাভাবিক না?
জি স্যার।
রাইট স্যার।
দিনাজপুরের লোকরা সব এলাকাতে কি একই দিনাজপুরের ডায়ালেক্ট বলে? তুমি দেখছো এক থানা থেকে আরেক থানায় গেলে একটু পার্থক্য হয়? হ্যাভ ইউ নোটিসড ইট?
Yes, sir.
তুমি যদি দেখো যে সৈয়দপুরে যারা আছে তাদের ডায়ালেক্টটা, আবার যারা চৌমুহনী বা তারও ওই পাশে যারা থাকে তাদের সাথে একটু পার্থক্য আছে, আমি বুঝতে পারি। আমি বলতে পারবো না তোমাকে এক্স্যাক্টলি, কিন্তু আমার কানে খুব বাজে জিনিসটা, আমি আমার কান দিয়ে বুঝতে পারি জিনিসটা। ইউজুয়ালি উই আন্ডারস্ট্যান্ড ইট বাই ইউজিং আওয়ার ইয়ার্স, তাই না? সাউন্ড শুনে টের পাওয়া যায় না জিনিসটা, পার্থক্যটা।
Yes, sir.
So that's why it's saying that sufficiently homogeneous, মানে বেশ পর্যাপ্ত রূপেই তারা একই রকম, অনেকখানি এক, পুরোপুরি না হলে, কারণ পুরোপুরি বলা যাবে না, কারণ কানাডার এক এক প্রভিন্সের লোক এক এক রকম করে ইংরেজি বলতেই পারে, কিন্তু মোটামুটি হোমোজেনাস। পুরো কানাডাতে ইংলিশটা একই রকম, এলাকা ভিত্তিক কিছু অ্যাকসেন্ট বা ভোকাবুলারি বা ইডিওমেটিক এক্সপ্রেশনে খানিকটা পার্থক্য থাকলে থাকে। তো সেগুলো উনি বলছেন যে এনি বডি অফ হিউম্যান স্পিচ প্যাটার্নস, বলছে একটা হিউম্যান স্পিচ প্যাটার্নস মানে হচ্ছে মানুষের কথার যে একটা বড় ধরনের একটা প্যাটার্নের যদি আমি একটা পর্যাপ্ত রকমের হোমোজেনিটি দেখতে পাই, সাদৃশ্য দেখতে পাই, যেটাকে আমি কি করব, টু বি অ্যানালাইজড বাই অ্যাভেলেবল টেকনিক্স অফ সিনক্রনিক ডেসক্রিপশন। সেটাকে আমি অ্যানালাইজ করব কি দিয়ে? আমার হাতে অ্যাভেলেবল যে টেকনিক্সটা আছে, আমার হাতের কাছে যে টেকনিক আছে, যে টেকনিকের বাংলা কি?
কৌশল।
হ্যাঁ, কৌশল। হ্যাঁ, কৌশল বা প্রক্রিয়া যেটা আমার হাতে আছে, ওইটা ব্যবহার করে যদি আমি ওই সাফিসিয়েন্টলি হোমোজেনাস যে প্যাটার্নস গুলো পাইছি হাতে, সেই আমার কাছে পাওয়া প্যাটার্ন গুলোকে আমি যদি অ্যানালাইজ করি, সেই অ্যানালাইজ করবো কিভাবে? সিনক্রনিক ডেসক্রিপশন। I told you that the difference between diachronic and synchronic. Diachronic is for a longer period of time. Synchronic is a specific period of time, a certain period of time. একটা নির্দিষ্ট সময়ের ভাষাকে নিয়ে যদি আমি অ্যানালাইজ করি, and which has a sufficiently large repertoire of elements, এবং তার কি আছে? পর্যাপ্ত রকমের repertoire of elements. Repertoire means, বলতে পারবে repertoire means আধার, ভান্ডার আমরা যেটাকে বলি। আমি এর থেকে ভালো বাংলা বলতে পারছি না, কেউ বলতে পারবে এর অর্থ কি?
আধার, কন্টেইনার।
হ্যাঁ তুমি অনেকেরই গাছ হ্যাঁ কি বলে আর্জুন কি বলে somebody said something what did you say
source,
সোর্স আর একটু বাংলা
main
ভালো
core.
ভান্ডারের
স্যার ধারক স্যার ধারক
আমি তোমাকে বোঝাতে পারছি না মানে আমার কাছে পর্যাপ্ত এলিমেন্টস আছে এখন আমার সাথে কাছে যদি ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজের এলিমেন্ট না থাকে আমি অ্যানালাইজ করবো কি আমি যদি দিনাজপুরের এলাকার ভাষা নিয়ে তাদের ডায়ালেক্টটা নিয়ে যদি কাজ করতে চাই তো সেই ডায়ালেক্ট নিয়ে কাজ করতে গেলে পর্যাপ্ত পরিমাণে ভোকাবুলারি সিনট্যাক্স সিম্যান্টিক্যাল অ্যানালিসিস করবার জন্য সেই পরিমাণ ভাষার উপাদান লাগবে না
হ্যাঁ স্যার
তো সেই পরিমাণ উপাদানের ভান্ডার যদি হাতে না থাকে এর রিপোর্টারে একটা ভালো ইংরেজি শব্দ দাও না আরেকটা আমার মনে পড়ছে না
Components,
oh it's very close components anything else
Sir, materials.
materials anything else
objects,
objects can be
Yes, sir.
anything else any other suggestion so repertory
স্যার স্ট্রক হবে কি
oh exactly good you're very close 90% close এই শব্দটা পাচ্ছি না বলে আমি আগাতে পারছিলাম না আমার কাছে যদি স্টক অফ এলিমেন্টস না থাকে স্টকের বাংলা কি এখন বলবো
স্যার সঞ্চয় জমাকৃত
yes জমাকৃত জিনিসগুলো যদি আমার কাছে না থাকে এলিমেন্টস গুলো না থাকে যে আমি কি দিয়ে কাজ করব তাহলে সেটা তো সম্ভব হবে just like that okay so large repertory of elements and their arrangements and or process with broad enough semantic scope to function in all formal contexts of communication and their arrangements so I have got the elements and now I will and I also have their arrangements তাদের ঠিকভাবে সাজানো আছে আর processes গুলো আমার হাতে আছে with broad enough semantic scope semantic মানে হচ্ছে অর্থগতভাবে আমি সেটাকে এখন তার ফাংশনটাকে অ্যানালাইজ করার মতো আমি একটা অবস্থায় আছি in all formal contexts of communication and in all formal contexts of communication অর্থাৎ ওই ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজের ফর্মাল কনটেক্সটে তারা যে কমিউনিকেশন করে সেইটার উপরে বেস করে আমার হাতে যে পর্যাপ্ত স্টক আছে এলিমেন্টসের ওই ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজের সেটা কি করবো সিনক্রনিক ডেসক্রিপশন আমি একটা নির্দিষ্ট সময় ধরে সেটাকে অ্যানালাইজ করব এবং আমার হাতে কি আছে অ্যাভেলেবল টেকনিক্স আছে তার উপরে বেস করে আমি একটা ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজটাকে অ্যানালাইজ করে যদি দেখি যে না সেটা যথেষ্ট হোমোজেনিটি মেইনটেইন করে দেন উই কল ইট দ্যাট ইজ এ ভ্যারাইটি ওকে understood so our definition of variety jotil holo ami agi bolechi it's all inclusive it actually incorporates all the things that we need to call a language variety and note the word sufficiently homogeneous আমি অলরেডি তোমাদেরকে ব্যাখ্যা করে দিয়েছি ওরা সেটা এখন ব্যাখ্যা যাচ্ছে যে সাফিশিয়েন্ট হোমোজেনাস বলতে আসলে আমরা কি মিন করছি কারণ কোনো যে যদি সাফিশিয়েন্ট হোমোজেনাস যদি ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজের এলিমেন্টস গুলো if they are not available then can we call it a variety will not call it a variety right
that's there.
because if they are not sufficiently homogeneous then we'll call it a different language for example Hindi and Bangla we have lots of difference in vocabulary and pronunciation so that's why we are calling not a variety of Bangla language a variety of Hindi language or Urdu language we're calling it a different language because they are not homogeneous they are heterogeneous that's why now here it goes further if you just please excuse me there is a phone call official I have to take it sorry okay so as I was saying so note the word sufficiently homogeneous in this last quotation it says that complete homogeneity is not required I mentioned it have you got it now to call a language we cannot say the complete homogeneity then it will be a different language complete homogeneity in a society is not possible because of the geographical distance and differences and also cultural differences and religious differences their language and intonation their choice of words vocabulary that will also be different and also because of the social background people from the upper class they will use that language in different way people from the lower class middle class so they have their own choice of words vocabulary diction and a style of language so that's why complete homogeneity from a from a specific geographical existence. Actually, we cannot say, we cannot have it. It's impossible. এটা কি সম্ভব একটা কমপ্লিট হোমোজেনিটি একটা ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজের কোন একটা এলাকা থেকে পাওয়া সম্ভব বা দিনাজপুর থেকে পাওয়া সম্ভব ঢাকা থেকে পাওয়া সম্ভব ঢাকা একটা
না স্যার
বড় একটা জেলা দিনাজপুর বড় একটা জেলা ছোট জেলা হলেও আমরা যখন ওই নির্দিষ্ট প্রভিন্স স্টেট বা ডিস্ট্রিক্টে বিভিন্ন জায়গায় যাই তখন এলাকা ভিত্তিক ভাবে ইউজুয়ালি বলা হয়ে থাকে যে 3 থেকে 4 কিলোমিটার রেঞ্জের বাইরে গেলেই তখন ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজটা পরিবর্তন হওয়া শুরু করে কারণ মানুষগুলো তখন আর নিজেদের প্রতি স্ট্রিক্ট করতে পারে আমি ইফ ইউ আস্ক ইউ এ কোয়েশ্চেন ডু ইউ নো many people from your locality, I mean beyond 4 kilometers or 3 kilometers, তোমার বাড়ির 3 থেকে 4 কিলোমিটার পরের মানুষদের চেনো? তুমি চেনো সবাইকে?
না স্যার।
নো স্যার।
তো তুমি যখন চেনো না তার মানে তার সাথে তোমার ইন্টারাকশন হচ্ছে না, হচ্ছে? সে তো অপরিচিত, সে থাকে এক এলাকায়, তুমি থাকো আরেক এলাকাতে। তাহলে ওর এলাকায় ও যখন কথা বলে ওর এলাকার পরিবেশ পরিস্থিতি অনুযায়ী চেঞ্জ হয় না?
হ্যাঁ স্যার হয়।
আর তুমি যখন তোমার এলাকায় থাকছো তোমার পরিবেশ পরিস্থিতি মানে সোশ্যাল কনটেক্সট, ডিফারেন্ট আদার সিচুয়েশনস, ফিনান্সিয়াল সিচুয়েশন সব মিলিয়ে তোমার ভাষাটা চেঞ্জ হচ্ছে না?
হ্যাঁ হচ্ছে স্যার।
That's why actually they're saying that complete homogeneity is not required because it's not possible. That's why it is not required. Now there is always some variation whether we consider a language as a whole, whether we consider a language as a whole, a dialect of that language, the speech of a group within that dialect, or ultimately each individual in that group. So it says that there is always some variation whether we consider a language as a whole. So if you consider the language, if you consider as a variety, or if you consider it as a language, then you will also find there are some other kinds of varieties, other kinds of differences you will find. And a dialect of that language, the speech of a group within that dialect, or ultimately each individual in that. So complete homogeneity actually is not possible. So when actually we'll try to find a variety, we'll also find a dialect, there. So such variation is a basic fact of linguistic life. At a bhasha jibone, it is a basic fact that there will be differences, and complete homogeneity, you can never expect that. So as a result, you will get the variety, and also you will get the dialect of a language. Is that understood? Is that clear to you? Is it simple?
Sir, that is ভ্যারাইটির মাঝেই ডায়ালেক্ট থাকবে এরকম কিছু?
Exactly. Within a variety, we can have a dialect. It's possible. Because you see, for example, we call it a language from the Chittagong. But you know, this is very interesting. I don't know whether actually whether you have been have you ever been in Chittagong, or maybe whether you have been there, or whether you have met people from Chittagong. I have met people from Chittagong from different upajila, different thana we call it of Chittagong, from different parts of Chittagong. For example, in Chittagong there is a place called Lohagora, and in Chittagong there are a place called Shatkania. Have you ever heard of these unions, upajilas?
Yes sir.
These are upajilas from Chittagong. Lohagora, Shatkania. But if you go to Lohagora, Shatkania, you find that these two group of people, they always think that the people from Lohagora, they're superior to Shatkania, and people from Shatkania, they think that they're superior to Lohagora. Within the same district, they are from the same district, but still, you see, they have lots of difference, ego problem, and also their structure, the way they talk, the way they behave. These are different, and even their language is also different accordingly. Got it? What I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
I'm extremely sorry. I have another official call. I have to take it. I'm extremely sorry for that. Just wait. I'll be back. All right. So as I was saying, okay, you can hear me, right? Hello?
Yes,
Yes
sir.
sir.
Yes sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, let us continue. Now we can't expect complete homogeneity, and I have already given an example that people from Chittagong, but they are from different upajila, different thana. So that's why actually you can see they have difference of language within the same district. So that is dialect. That is not a different language. Is it clear now? They are speaking the same language that we can call this Chittagonian variation, but from one area to another area, from Shatkhania to Lohagarh. If you go there, so you can feel the difference between these two same variation. In that case, we can call them dialect. They are not variation. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Right. Now, Hudson and Ferguson agree in defining variety in terms of a specific set of linguistic items. A specific set of linguistic items. They're trying to understand the variety or human speech patterns. So they are saying that human speech patterns are specific linguistic items. So it's there. And these human speech patterns, and he has given some examples. He's saying that presumably sounds, words, grammatical features, and etc. So you can see the sounds, words, and grammatical features. These are commonly known as the human speech patterns. And when you are looking for the homogeneity, then you have to look for these things, these linguistic items. Do you get my point? What I'm saying? If you want to find the homogeneity, within that language, then you have to look into these matters. You have to look for these things. That is sounds, words, and grammatical features. So you have to consider them. So if you can see that sounds are mostly similar, their vocabulary are mostly similar, and grammatical features, the syntax or syntax structure, they are mostly similar, then we'll say that they are sufficiently homogeneous. Is that okay now?
Okay.
Okay.
Fantastic. Good. Because I just want you to make you understand this. If you don't understand it, then actually it's useless to move forward. Now, which we can uniquely associate with some external factors. So first of all, we have human speech patterns, that is sounds, words, grammatical features, and along with that, we have some external factors. I have already mentioned some of those. Now here is a geographical area or social group. Didn't I mention that? Geographical area and social group. People are living in different parts of area and they have a different group. For example, here we are living. Most of the people living, we are in this locality. They are university teachers, or people live. You see, the fishermen usually they live together. They stay together in particular place, right? So from different professional. So people from different professionals, they like to live. In a separate community. So this is called social group. Or you can see for example, people living in Soyapur, we are a different social group. Almost all of us actually have the same kind of dialect. We have same kind of thinking process. We have same kind of lifestyle, same kind of food habit. So we are a different social group. Do you follow me what I'm saying exactly? Just tell me if you don't understand.
I'm not understanding.
Then why don't you tell me? I'm telling you time and again. You just stop me there and then I'll explain it later. So what you have to consider for the homogeneity, first of all, human speech patterns. Homogeneity দেখতে গেলে আগে দেখতে হবে যে মানুষের কথার ভাষাগুলোর মধ্যে এই জিনিসগুলো এক কিনা। আর আরেকটা কি দেখতে হবে যে এক্সটার্নাল ফ্যাক্টরস গুলো, সেটা কি তারা একই এলাকার কিনা এবং তাদের সোশ্যাল গ্রুপগুলো কেমন। এক এক এলাকায় সোশ্যাল গ্রুপের ওই জিওগ্রাফিক্যাল এরিয়া অনুযায়ী একরকম বলবে। নদী পাড়ের লোকের ভাষা আর যারা আমরা সমতটের নির্দিষ্ট জায়গায় চাষাবাদ করার জায়গায় থাকি তাদের ভাষা পার্থক্য হয় না?
Yes, sir.
হয় স্যার।
কি জন্য হয়? কারণ ভৌগোলিক ব্যাপারটা আলাদা। জিওগ্রাফিক্যাল মানে ভৌগোলিক, নাকি এটার অর্থ তোমরা জানো না?
জানি স্যার।
তাহলে তো সিম্পল। Why don't you understand it? আর সোশ্যাল গ্রুপ কি বললাম? পেশাগত কারণে মানুষ একসাথে একরকম থাকে। তোমরা সব স্টুডেন্টরা এক জায়গায় থাকতে ভালোবাসো না, কারণ সকলেই ছাত্র, তাতে আন্ডারস্ট্যান্ডিং ভালো হয়, একই এলাকায় ভালোভাবে থাকা যায়। এখন তোমাকে যদি আমি শিক্ষক পাড়ার মধ্যে এক বিল্ডিং এর সবাই শিক্ষক, একটা অ্যাপার্টমেন্টে ওখানে 4টে স্টুডেন্ট যদি রেখে দিই, বলো তো ওদের অবস্থা কি হবে? পুরো বিল্ডিং এর শিক্ষকরা থাকে, ওরা 4 জন থাকে, ওদের তো লাইফ হেল, কথা বলবে মেপে, বাইরে যখন তখন বেরোতে পারবে না, কষ্ট না ওদের জন্য? আমি সোশ্যাল গ্রুপটা বোঝানোর জন্য বলছি যে কিভাবে সোশ্যাল গ্রুপের এই ফর্মেশনটা হয়। পেশাগত কারণে হয়, অর্থনৈতিক কারণে হয়, সব ধনী লোকরা এক জায়গায় থাকে গুলশান বানানোতে, রাইট? ওইখানে যদি আমার মতো একটা লোক 22,000 টাকা দিয়ে বা 25,000 টাকা দিয়ে একটা বিল্ডিং ভাড়া নিয়ে থাকি, মাসের অর্ধেক বেতন চলে গেল বাড়ি ভাড়া, এবার বাকি ফুটা নিয়ে ওদের সাথে মিল করে দেখাতে পারবো? ওরা তো সোশ্যাল গ্যাদারিং, ওরা তো ভেবে নিয়েছে আমিও বোধহয় বিত্তশালী, এই জন্য ওই এলাকায় বাসা করে নিয়ে আছে, আমাকে তো ডাকবে, আসেন আমার ছেলের পার্টি, আমার ছেলের জন্মদিনের পার্টি, আমার মেয়ের বিয়ের অনুষ্ঠান, আমার ছেলের বিয়ের অনুষ্ঠান। আমি তখন এই সোশ্যালাইজেশন গুলো করতে পারবো? ফিনান্সিয়ালি ওদের সাথে মিলিয়ে থাকা আমাকে সম্ভব হবে? তো সেখানে হোমোজেনিটি থাকতেছে, যেটাকে আমরা হোমোজেনিটি বলি, সাদৃশ্য থাকে, সেটা থাকবে।
না স্যার।
সুতরাং জিওগ্রাফিক্যাল এরিয়া, সোশ্যাল গ্রুপ, এটা হচ্ছে তোমার এক্সটার্নাল ফ্যাক্টর। আর লিঙ্গুইস্টিক ফ্যাক্টর গুলো কি কি? সেগুলো হচ্ছে সাউন্ডস, ওয়ার্ডস, গ্রামাটিক্যাল ফ্যাক্টরস। এই জিনিসগুলোতে যদি হোমোজেনিটি থাকে, তখন আমরা সেটাকে ভ্যারাইটি হিসেবে আমরা নির্দিষ্ট করতে পারবো। অথবা এর উপরে ডিপেন্ড করে, এর উপরে কতটুকু হোমোজেনিয়াস তার উপরে ডিপেন্ড করে আমরা বলতেছি ডায়ালেক্ট। যেটা একটু আগে এক্সাম্পল দিলাম, চিটাগংয়ের সাতকানিয়ার লোকের ডায়ালেক্ট একরকম, আর লোহাগড়ার লোকরা একটু, সবাই চিটাগংয়ের ভাষায় বলছে, কিন্তু এলাকা পার্থক্য হয়ে যাওয়ার কারণে তাদের একজন আরেকজনের সম্পর্কে তাদের যে পার্সপেক্টিভ, এই কারণে তাদের ভাষাগত কিছু পার্থক্য আসে। তাহলে একই চিটাগংয়ের ভ্যারাইটি, সেটা হয়ে গেল কি ডায়ালেক্ট। এখন কি পরিষ্কার?
জি স্যার।
কারণ এটা যদি ক্লিয়ার না হয় তাহলে সামনের দিকে এগিয়ে লাভ নেই। অলরাইট, নাও consequently, if we can identify such a unique set of items or patterns for each group in question, it might be possible to say that there are such varieties as Standard English, Cockney, lower class New York City speech, Oxford English, the legalese, cocktail party talk, and so on. So what is it saying? So when you find the homogeneity, according to, based on these human speech patterns and also external factors that I've already talked about, when you find that this specific group of people from this area, they're speaking this language, then we can call them, that is New York English, that is Oxford English, that is legalese, that is cocktail party talk. Okay? As we can say, we can talk about, people who are using the, this language variety or dialect of this Chittagonian language. Okay?
Yes,
Is that
sir.
okay? Excellent. Now, one important task that is sociolinguistics is to determine if such unique sets of items or patterns do exist. So the sociolinguistics, they will try to find out that in reality whether this kind of items or patterns do exist. আদৌ এরকম আছে কি, এরকম হোমোজেনিটি থাকছে কি? একজন সোশিওলিঙ্গুইস্টিক্স এর সোশিওলিঙ্গুইস্ট যিনি এটা নিয়ে কাজ করবেন, তিনি সেটা ফাইন্ড আউট করার চেষ্টা করবেন। সোশিওলিঙ্গুইস্টিক্স এর কাজ হচ্ছে এটাকে ডিটারমিন করা। As we proceed, we will encounter certain difficulties, but it is unlikely that we will easily abandon the concept of variety, no matter how serious these difficulties prove to be. It may be difficult, but still, what will you do? We'll try to find it out, that whether that kind of varieties are available in the society. Now, we'll focus on language and dialects. Okay? Now, here you see, for many people, there can be no confusion at all about what language they speak. For example, so some people, for example, I'm very certain, or I can assure myself that I'm speaking Promito Bangla, that is the standard Bangla. I'm sure about it. But some people, they might get confused. Am I speaking the standard Bangla, or is it a dialect, or is it a variety? You see? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay. For example, if I ask you, are you sure about your language? In Bangla, it is a standard, or it's a variety, or it's a dialect? Shubhasri.
Sir, it's the dialect.
Okay, that means you're sure that it's a dialect. Tanjit, are you sure about your language? Is it a standard Bangla, or it's a dialect, or it's a variety?
Sir, it's a dialect, sir.
Okay, Tushar?
It's a dialect, sir, I think.
It's a dialect. Fahim, what do you think? What's your language? It's a variety dialect. Are you confused?
First, it's a dialect, then variety.
Okay, I've got it. Prema, how about you? Your language, is that your Bangla, is that a standard, or is it a dialect, or is it a variety? What is that?
So I think it's a dialect and also variety, because
Go on, continue.
hello.
Yes, I can hear you. Explain it, no
So
problem.
firstly dialect and also variety,
Okay,
because many more variety languages here.
okay. All right, no problem. So now you see, you have started understanding your own variety and dialect. Now you can identify it. This is good. Now, here we have some example, like Chinese, Japanese, or Korean, and they speak Chinese, Japanese, and Korean respectively. So you see, Chinese people, Japanese people, Korean people, they speak their language. So that is the language. It is as simple as that. The language and ethnicity are virtually synonymous. So you see, we are calling it Japanese. Why? Because Japanese people using that, right?
Yes, sir.
We are calling it Korean because Korean people using that language. Chinese people are not using that language. So language and ethnicity, that means your origin, aren't they connected? Aren't they interlinked, entwined?
Yes, sir. Connected.
Exactly. So we have to take care of it, and we have to take, notice of this thing, that why actually we are calling it a dialect, because ethnicity is there. It's very important. We need to consider that. Now, a Chinese may be surprised to find that another person who appears to be Chinese doesn't speak Chinese. Or some Japanese have gone so far as to claim not to be able to understand Caucasians who speak fluent Japanese. Just as such a strong connection between language and ethnicity may prove to be invaluable in nation building, it can also be fraught with problems when individuals and groups seek to realize some other identity. For example, to be both Chinese and American, or to be Canadian rather than Korean Canadian. Now, problem is that sometimes you will feel, for example, this is an interesting thing, and I'm really surprised to see that. And sociolinguistics is an amazing subject, amazing discipline that helps us to understand. Look, usually you have talked to me, and you know me very well. That usually I don't know how to speak, and actually I don't know how to use this dialect from this area, from this part of Bangladesh. Especially I'm talking about Nilphamari, Dinajpur, and Rangpur and Kubra. I can understand it. When you speak, I understand it. Do you get my point? What I'm saying, Tanzil?
Yes, sir.
I understand your language, but if you ask me, sir, can you speak that? I can't. But I think that when you talk to me, you try to use standard Bangla, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
That's why I understand. But if you use the dialect, the original dialect, the way you talk to the locals from your locality, trust me, I'm not going to understand all of you. All of your language, all of it. It happens with me when I talk to the van puller or rickshaw puller, or the person actually who is driving easy bike, because I use standard Bangla because I can't speak that dialect, and these people, they find it very difficult to understand me. You see, I'm speaking Bangla. আমি কি বাংলা ছাড়া অন্য কোনো ভাষা ব্যবহার করছি ওদের সাথে?
No, sir.
কিন্তু
না, স্যার।
ভ্যানালা প্রায় হচ্ছে, প্রতিদিনই হয় আমার সাথে। ওরা আমার ইনস্ট্রাকশন বুঝতে পারে না। আমি যদি বলি ভাই একটু এখানে রাখবেন, সে চালিয়ে যাচ্ছে যে ভাই একটু রাখেন, আমি নামবো, তখন সে রাখে। সে প্রথমে আমার বাংলার যে অ্যাকসেন্টটা সে ধরতে পারে না, সে বোঝে না, কারণ সে অভ্যস্ত না, শুনে অভ্যস্ত না, বলে অভ্যস্ত না। Same thing is happening with me, that you see, sometimes I try to communicate with the rickshaw puller, or also with the van wall or van puller who is driving the van, or also who is driving the easy bike. So when I try to establish a kind of communication, or when I try to talk to them, most of the time I get confused. I just assume, I try to guess the whole meaning, that what are they talking about, but I don't understand the whole language. তোমরা কি দেখেছো লোকালদের, তারা একদম লোকালি কমপ্লিটলি ডায়ালেক্টটা ব্যবহার করে, এটা কিন্তু বোঝা খুব কঠিন। ইটস ভেরি ফাস্ট, এবং শব্দের ব্যবহারগুলো একটু অন্যরকম। এই জন্য আমি বেশিরভাগ সময় তাদের কথা বুঝি না, কিন্তু আমি অনুমান করে বুঝে নিই যে টোটালটা কি বলতে চাইছে। আমি সব শব্দ বা সেন্টেন্স বুঝি না, কিন্তু সেন্সটা ধরতে পারি। ডু গেট মাই পয়েন্ট হোয়াট আই এম সেইং? নাকি আসলে বুঝতে
Yes,
পারছো?
sir.
আসলে বুঝতে পারছো আমি কি বলছি?
হ্যাঁ, স্যার।
Yes, sir.
এটা কি সত্যি না? এটা হতে পারে না?
Yes, sir. হয়তো।
হ্যাঁ, স্যার, হয়তো।
আচ্ছা, why is it happening? Because আমার কান অভ্যস্ত না শুনতে, আর ওরও কান অভ্যস্ত না এরকম স্ট্যান্ডার্ড বাংলা শুনতে, তখন আমরা দুজনেই বিভ্রান্ত হচ্ছি, আমাদের মধ্যে একটা মিসকমিউনিকেশন এস্টাবলিশ হচ্ছে, গ্যাপ হচ্ছে কমিউনিকেশন। সেম থিং ইজ হিয়ার, someone is Japanese but also he's American. সে আমেরিকাতে থাকে কিন্তু সে জাপানিজ অরিজিন, তার এথনিসিটি হচ্ছে জাপানিজ। Someone is Chinese but he is living in Japan, so that's why his language is very much influenced by the Japanese language, but he's also a Chinese speaker. So when he goes to China, or when he meets anyone original Chinese, that Chinese person, being both of them are Chinese, but both of them actually don't understand each other clearly, and that person, the original Chinese, is wondering, ওর চাইনিজটা এমন কেন, ওর চাইনিজ বুঝতে আমার কষ্ট হচ্ছে কেন? তোমরা কি আমার কথা বুঝতে পারছো?
Yes, sir.
Similarly, the Canadian Chinese or Canadian Japanese, when he goes to Japan and when he starts using his Japanese, that Japanese may be very standard, and the Japanese person is staying in Japan, his Japanese is just like the regular Japanese people, the way they speak. No, maybe not that much standard, or we'll say dialect. So he wonders that why this person is using that kind of Japanese language with me. Why his Japanese is different. So dialect actually it will explore. I mean, this part of sociolinguistics, it will explore that why it happens and what is the reason behind it. Now I will just try to finish a little bit out of from this chapter, and then I will finish today's lecture because time is over. Maybe I have taken some extra time, if I'm not mistaken. Now, here, just as such a strong connection between language and ethnicity, you see the language and ethnicity, there is a connection, a strong connection, may prove to be invaluable in nation building. Jati gotone eta ottonto guruttopurno. That is very much important to build a nation. The ethnicity is important there. It can also be fraught with problems. At the same time, ethnicity might also cause you problem. Problem where? Problem in language. Because different groups of people and different groups of individuals, they will use their language influenced by their ethnicity. তাদের জাতিগত সত্তা দিয়ে প্রভাবিত হয়ে তার ভাষাটা বদলে যায়। দুজনেই জাপানিজ বলছে, কিন্তু একজন আমেরিকাতে থাকছে, সে আমেরিকান নাগরিক, কিন্তু জাপানিজ এথনিসিটি, তার বংশ হচ্ছে জাপান বংশোদ্ভূত। যেমন আমাদের বাংলাদেশি বংশোদ্ভূত আমেরিকান নাগরিক, তাদের বাংলাটা আমাদের এখানে যখন আসে তোমার কাছে অদ্ভুত লাগে না? সত্যি করে বলো, কাউকে এরকম দেখে কথা বলেছো বা নাটকে শোনো না, দেখো না তোমরা কেমন করে বাংলা বলে? তখন তোমার কাছে একটু অড লাগে না যে বাংলাদেশি কেমন ঢং করে বাংলা বলে? ঠিক করে বাংলাটা বললেই তো হয়, আসলে ওর দোষ না, ও আমেরিকায় থাকার কারণে ওর ভাষাটা ভাবে চেঞ্জ হয়ে গেছে। সুতরাং দ্যাটস এ ডিফারেন্ট ভ্যারাইটি অর ডায়ালেক্ট অফ বাংলা। এ পর্যন্ত বোঝা গেছে আজকে?
Yes, sir.
sir.
Excellent. Now it can also be the identity. Now here it says that, and groups seek to realize some other identity. That is, they will also try to find other identity to be both Chinese and American. So you are Chinese and at the same time you are American, or to be Canadian rather than Korean Canadian. So you try to be more Canadian than Korean Canadian. So that's why actually you change your Korean that much. You don't want to remember your Korean. You want to be a Canadian. As well as we will see, many Americans seem particularly reluctant to equate language with ethnicity in their own case. So many Americans actually they don't want to confess, they don't want to accept it, embrace it that they have different ethnicity. They want to say that we are Americans. I'm not Bangladeshi American, I'm American. Especially with the new generation. New generation, they don't want to identify themselves as Bangladeshi. They want to identify themselves because they were born there and they are born in America, they are brought up in America, they have all these schooling, and maybe they never visited Bangladesh. So they want to say that we are American, we are not Bangladeshi American. So this also creates a problem. And they can speak a little bit of Bangla because their parents are Bangladeshi. So when they go home, maybe their parents, they are speaking Bangla with them, but they don't want to use Bangla. They want to identify themselves as American. So although they regard English as the natural language of Americans, they do not consider American to be an ethnic level. So some people, they speak Bangla, they speak English, the American English, and it's their natural language, their first language, their mother tongue, but still they don't want to label themselves as American. They want to say that we are Bangladeshi American. The results may be the same, only the regions differ. So in all these cases, you can find the same results. That, I mean, for example, the variation of language, the dialect, you can find it, but regions may differ. Somebody, for example, you may say that I'm an American because you were born in USA, but you are Bangladeshi, but you don't want to recognize it. But some people, some Bangladeshi kids, they may say that no, we can't forget our origin. We are Bangladeshi and at the same time we are American. So we are Bangladeshi American. So the reason is different. You see what I'm saying? Why they differ? The reasons are different, but the result is same dialect. In both cases, we are having different dialects of Bangla. Whatever the situation or reasons are there, but we are getting dialect out of it. Okay, so with this note, actually, I would like to conclude here today's discussion. I hope you enjoyed it. You liked it, and you will try to explore your own dialect, own language, and from now on, actually, you will look into your own language in a different way, and you'll try to find the reasons of differences. So please try to remember all these discussions and try to explore language in this way, because in this semester, I will give you homework and assignments that will be very much practical and based on your own linguistic experience. We'll use the theoretical understanding from our discussions from these books, from these resources or sources, but we'll try to judge our linguistic situation from our own experiences. But we'll use the theory from the books, but we'll do the work using our own linguistic experience. Do you understand what I'm saying? Is that clear to you, dear students?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's why take this very seriously, try to understand it, and because it is going to be very much innovative, and I hope that you're going to enjoy it, inshallah. Okay, so thank you. If you don't have any question, I'd like to end it here, and I will see you next time with new topic and with new items, inshallah. Okay, can we end it here? Do you have any question?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Take care of yourself.
Thank you, sir. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum salam. Wa alaikum salam. Have a nice day. Have a nice day.
True, sir.